find some refreshment on the break? A little bit? Well, you're very welcome. I wish I could say I could take credit, but technically it was for the previous class that was next door. They're like, well, we don't want them to go to waste. Here you go. I'm like, okay, great. So, and there is coffee out there if you're interested, if you're crazy and you like to stay up late. All right. I teach tomorrow morning at the school. I need all the sleep I can get. All right. So let's introduce the letter chet. Chet. So let's try that. Chet. Chet. Yeah, okay. So chet. It's very, very difficult for English speakers, but that's okay. This is the 8th letter. It's said to be the picture of a fence. A fence. Yeah, not an offense. Yes, it's an offense. Look at it. It's very offensive. No.
Depends on your vowel pointing.
So it's a man selling stolen goods?
I thought they just called it. I just thought that they called that Walmart. Oh, low blow. If you like Walmart, too bad. I'm not sorry.
All week.
I'll be here
All week.
all week. All right. So you'll notice that the C and the H are both capitalized in this letter's name. And this is to emphasize that, for the English speaker at least, you need to know this is emphasizing that it is going to be a guttural. So, chet. Yeah. Now, it's that phlegmy sound is something we're not really used to. And by the way, it's not always hit that hard. Sometimes it's more grazed than that. So it's grazed. Sometimes it's not as hard. It's not, but we're introducing it as hard so you can hear it. But when it's actually spoken, it sounds less guttural. But it is guttural. So now it may seem unusual for us today as English speakers, but there was a time that English had guttural letters. That's right. Because English is a Germanic language. You probably know German always has gutturals. And they sound like they want to murder you when they say, I love you. Yes, it's like, should I run?
If I'm saying it to you, yes.
Fair play. All right.
Nobody else knows what we're talking about.
Well, no, I got it. I pick it up. I took enough German. That's why I'm actually rather good at this with the gutturals, because I actually did take the time to listen to the intonation. It's actually striking to me. I tried Japanese for half a year. Nope. Yeah, that's all I know. After that, it's like konnichi no. See ya. Centuries ago, we tended to lean more of that German way, because you probably know that there's this relationship between England and Germany and German-speaking areas of Europe, right? So there came a point some centuries ago where, for reasons I can only assume because they were intoxicated, they decided to go more French in the way of speaking, and so they dropped the gutturals. It was that good wine. 1066?
William Conqueror.
Norman
Who came from, Norman invasion. Who came from
Well, we don't need to bring Norman into this. Yeah, he goes by Norm now. Norm. So English. Okay. We decided to go more French in the way of speaking, and we lost our gutturals. And boy, aren't we grateful. But the Scottish actually retain this, by the way, to a certain extent. They weren't quite as impacted by the Norman invasion, to the extent that the English were. So, it shows up in like Loch Ness, or Haggis. Yes. So This is, now, I want to point out, by the way, this is one of those look-alike letters. Okay? It's one of those look-alike letters. Now, it's important to pay attention to this. Now, I'm going to give you guys a very specific graphic on this in a little bit. But it's important to pay attention. This looks a lot like something we've seen before, doesn't it? It looks like hay. Yeah. The difference is obvious, though. You see it? Yeah, it's touching. That's right. It's touching. So, we'll talk about that in a little bit more. I'll show you side by side so it's very clear. But how do you write this thing? It's a two-step letter. You start by going down. I think yours has it very similar, yeah? Yeah, just a square, just one, and then two.
Although ours has the little bit of a tail on the top.
Yeah, this one's a very basic. It's okay to have that little flare at the top. It's fine. It's a serif, yeah. Hebrew, like other letters, can be formatted differently. They even have their own version of Comic Sans. So, something like that. Yeah. I mean, they have kids too, and kids like those fun, bubbly letters. So.
The Jono book has a nice comparison of
Oh.
3 different styles.
Yeah, I think one is the paleo, isn't it?
Script, block, and letter.
Script, blocked, and letter, yes. Yep, very good. Yeah, actually, I'm doing a mural at my house right now that actually is using ones that have these little crowns on some of the letters. So, Hebrew can get very fancy or very simple. So, you may have noticed the similarity, like I said. It's you might think I was pulling a prank on you, but I promise you I'm not. It looks like this. See? The hay has one floating leg, and the other is linked to the upper line. Now, I mean, it's pretty clear, right? But you have to pay close attention when you're reading and writing these. You have to. Because if you miss this, you might end up with a totally different word. Now, the chet, as hard as it is to say, because let's face it, it's kind of hard. It's a little hard to say it, right? Chet. Yeah. But this letter has the distinction of being the first letter in some of Hebrew's most incredibly wonderful and beloved words. One of them being this one. So, we have not introduced you guys to this letter yet, but this is the Nun Sofit. So, this is chen. Chen. Not to be confused with hen, because actually that is a word in Hebrew. So, let's see. So, I'm going to do this. Hen. That actually means them, but it's the feminine. Hen is feminine, not to be confused with the bird.
It was masculine.
What's that? It was masculine what? Well, I hope you can say that for everybody. Christopher? So, chen, though, is the word grace. This is grace. This, of course, when we think about this, it's God's mercy. It's His ability to, it's His willingness to share unmerited favor with us as sinful people. The Greek word charis is the equivalent. So if you've taken, how many of you have taken Greek before? A few? A little bit? So the word charis, we get the word charisma from it. Charis means grace as well. It kind of sounds like it. It's almost a cognate. Chen, absolutely a cognate too. Don't you hear it? No, it is definitely the same word though. It has the same meaning. Now, then there's this little beauty. Ah, she's beautiful. This is Chokhmah. Remember that time I told you that the Kamatz doesn't always say, remember that? I told you the Kamatz? Chokhmah. This one says Chokhmah. You're like, oh no. Oh no. Chokhmah. This is wisdom. Now, notice too that there's actually two gutturals in a row. Chokhmah. So let's try that. Chokhmah. Chokhmah. Now, as gross as this word may sound to say, it's one of the most desirable traits in life that you can have. Does anybody know what this is? Wisdom. It's wisdom. It's so important, in fact, that when God offered Solomon anything he wanted, practically, he said, I want chokhmah, wisdom, to lead these people. And God was, of course, obliged to give him wisdom and much more besides. That's in 1 Kings 3, if you want to know. It's a powerful word. Yeah.
So how do we know that that's an O sound instead of the A sound?
So,
On the,
okay. Let's see. So I have this lovely flowchart in mine. I don't think it's in yours. I believe maybe it is in yours. Maybe it is in yours. I get turned around on which one's which. Nope, it's in mine. So, let's see. Any letter without a dagesh. Is that letter followed by a hyphen? Let's see, any letter with a dagesh? Okay, let's see. So, this is why I said I have a flowchart, and I'm going to have to introduce this to you in more detail later. Let's see. It does not have a... oh, wait. That one has a Shiva next to it. So, let's see. So, this might be one of those times where like I said, not all the rules are known. But the word chokhmah, as it's even written in this way in your book too. And I looked it up because I was like, are we sure about this? Well, I think it might have something to do with the position of this. Because chachma, it does work, but chokhmah, for whatever reason, just is easier to say, at least in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. But the exact reasons, I really don't know.
What's the second letter there?
That's a chaf.
A ha.
Chaf, as opposed to, it's kaf, and then there's chaf. We haven't introduced this one yet.
What sound does that make?
It's a guttural K, it's like a K, but guttural. Chokhmah. Chokhmah.
Oh, I see. Oh,
Yeah. So like a wise man or a wise person, a hacham. Hacham is a wise person. Bless me. Thank you. All right. Then there's Chaim. Chaim. L'chaim. As a matter of fact, yes. I didn't put that in there. I should have done that. L'chaim is to life. The lamed preposition means to. So we'll get there. But I have, for now, chaim. It means life or living. This word describes us. We are living. The base word for this is chai, which means life. The neat thing about this is that this is the name given to the first woman in the Bible. Her name was Chava, and she's named by Adam. Now his name, he was called man by God, right? Adam just means man, so he went around calling him man. Hey, man. Chava is reckoned as the first person given an actual name by another person in the Bible. She's the first one to receive a proper name.
Well, she was renamed that after the fall.
She was, because of when she gave birth to Cain, she named him.
Originally she was Adam?
No, Isha.
Isha, that's
Isha, I shall call you woman, for you have come from a man. Isha. And Ish is man, but Adam also means man, specifically male. No, I think, yeah. No, Adam is actually kind of the more generic. Ish is male. Isha is woman, specifically gender. Now, yeah, her name, by the way, means the mother of all living. So Hava comes from Chaim, which incidentally, hi. Hi. If you ever get confused on this, if you ever want to, like, what does that mean? Well, hi. You're always high on life. Yep. It's the root word for Chaim, which we just learned. There will be a little bit more to say about this word later, but this word "high" is a very important word. God is the God of the living, and so this word has such importance to not only us as in general, but to Israel in particular. And like I said, we'll talk about that in just a bit.
Did you say both high and Chaim mean life?
This one means life, but living ones. Like, for example, the tree of life is called the Eitz Chaim. This is chai. It's kind of more of the infinitive, to live, I guess you could say. This is the infinitive. It's also the stem. This is chesed. Now, I know we talked about this one a little bit last time. Chesed. So, this one, steadfast love. Now, all of this is in the book for the most part, except for a few things that I'm saying here. This is actually one of the greatest things we receive from God. He is exceedingly patient with us, as I'm sure you're very well aware. His steadfast love is probably the reason why he hasn't been giving us the spanking like he would do with our naughty child, as we justly deserve every day. The range of meaning it's pretty broad, actually. Steadfast love, long-suffering or long-suffering love, patient love, and loving kindness. So when you see those in your versions, this is the word that's being used. The closest equivalent to this is the Greek in the New Testament is agape. This is the closest parallel we have. And it means practically the same thing, but there is a slight difference, very slight. But for our purposes, it means the same thing. Now, I will say that both of them have one thing very much in common. Chesed and agape denote an extravagant, doting, or an overflowing, sacrificial type love. And it's the kind that's rooted in God and should undergird and underscore all other types of love. So we've learned two types. We've learned two words for love in here. What are they? Chesed. Ahava. That's right. Good. That's right.
Would they use chesed to refer to somebody other than God?
Okay. So
Like we wouldn't say agape unless of a person unless we're speaking of the love that God enables us to have.
yeah,
That mirrors His love.
I think
Is
that.
chesed the same way?
I think so, because I can't recall a time where chesed was used where God wasn't in the picture somewhere or somehow. I will say ahava also is used of God, his ahava, but it's not to say that it's exclusively his province. So,
So the three dots below, I know we'll get to that, but that must be
yes,
and then the middle one is S.
yes.
So today
So
we've learned
chesed.
two.
Yep,
Chesed.
chesed. Chesed. Yep. These are called segol. So, segolim. We're going to introduce these formally as they come up.
It just was fun to I can read that.
That's good. See, the thing is, you're going to learn a lot more than what I'm teaching you in the classroom. You're going to learn a lot more. A lot of the exercises in your book are going to be just, trying to transliterate Hebrew into English letters and vice versa. And you're going to find yourself trying to just think, okay, how would I write this in the Hebrew letters? How would I write this with nikudot? All that stuff. And then next week, there's actually going to be a chance to do, how many of you guys like Sudoku? Okay, so there's a couple of Sudoku puzzles in next week's lesson. So, but you're going to have to use alphanumerics. I'm bad at Sudoku. Now, cheta. Cheta. So try that one. Cheta. Sin. Perhaps the enduring reason we should be grateful for God's chesed is because we chata. We sin. Sin, as you know, as you may know, is an archery term. It means to miss the mark. You don't hit the bullseye. This word should remind us that in spite of our loving God, we do have a major problem. We rebel. We sin. And our rebellion, our sin, separates us from God. And he doesn't really like the idea of us being destroyed, so we who repent, those of us who are repentant and rely on his love, his chesed, and his chen. And chen is grace. That's right. We can rely on his chesed and chen because he's given us both. Yes?
The book makes it look like it's, you said hata.
Chata. Yeah.
The book makes it look like it's just one syllable.
Yeah, the book's pronunciation seemed to be a little different than
Yeah,
yours.
it's. I argue with the curriculum.
And the grace is the same.
Yeah. This.
Page 46.
I also am using the teacher's manual. So let's have a look. So.
So there's grace.
Oh, yeah.
and-
Yeah. Chen. Yeah.
And how do you say it?
I say chen.
Hin. And
Yeah.
then this one.
And chaim.
Haim.
Chaim.
And then here's
Yes. Chate is how this one. Chate is how it's saying it, but it's chata is actually a more chata.
Is sin?
Yeah, sin. I say chata. That's what I'm used to saying it as. Remember, transliterations are imprecise, so they're not going to always make sense. They're not going to say it exactly. That's the thing with translation in general. You can approximate, but it's like if you listen to Michael Heiser, instead of saying nachash, snake, he'll say nakash. It drives me crazy.
So the vowel pointing on the middle letter there, what is that doing?
That's called a shava. Now, in this case, I think it's slightly pronounced, but many times it's not. The shava is often not pronounced. And in a word like vayomer, vayomer has a patach. There are instances, though, where a vav at the beginning of a word has a shava underneath it, and it's v, or it's like a slight sound, but it's barely pronounced, if at all. So, yeah, the shava is a versatile piece of antiquated equipment. All right, no, we'll figure it out. I don't want to confuse you. It's definitely one of those things that you're like, what? Okay, when you see it, when we get to it, I'll introduce it to you in due course. It's a lot to take in. It took me a while to figure out shava. So, okay, any other questions about that before we move to tet? Okay. Feel free to stop me. I am perfectly happy to field questions. All right. Tet is the 9th letter of the alphabet. It is said to be the picture of a snake. Yeah.
Got my bathtub.
This one took me a while to learn how to write, too. Yeah. What were you saying?
Well, it looks like a dog.
A dog?
Like with me.
Oh.
Got the Sarah.
I was thinking Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah.
Le Pew! Yeah. So this is one of 2 letters in the Hebrew alphabet that makes a t sound. There's 2.
Why not?
Because why not? Yeah, we'll introduce the other one when we're ready. So, how do you write this one? This is a 2-step process. Just whoop. Yeah, whoop. That's the technical sound effect. Whoop. With a slight whoop. And 2. Just like that. Yep. And if it has a little tail on it, that's fine. It's really, I mean, and some people will even do it just with one stroke. It's really up to you, but I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I'm hard on myself. But it looks like something similar to this when you're done. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
It does look like a fish.
Yeah. But apparently it's a snake. Nachash. Now, here is the one major word that we want to talk about with this. Now, I bet you can read this. I bet you can. Tov. Tov. Yeah, because of what we have studied already, you already know this word. It's Tov, which means good. It is good. It's the very first adjective God used to describe anything in all creation. Think about that. That's cool, isn't it? It indicates to us that God, what God saw that He created, He said it was good. It was deemed correct, beautiful, without mistake, and worthy of existence. Kind of a cool thought, isn't it? If you're like me, and this is to bring it home to a personal level, if you're like me and you feel sometimes you don't fit those descriptions, you don't fit the descriptions of what this word means, I assure you God did not make a mistake in making us. And that's an encouraging thought. It also describes God's character. In Psalm 136:1, we read this. Hodu l'Adonai ki tov ki le'olam chasdo. Give thanks to the Lord, for He is good, and His love endures forever.
Is that hesed?
That is chesed, chasdo. See, here's where the vav is doing some lifting here. Whose chesed? His chesed. Yes. So the holam vav here is actually not a vowel. It is a vav with a holam, but it is not doing the work of the holam vav by itself. It is, in fact, indicating whose love. It's possessive. It's a suffix, as opposed to it being a prefix.
What is
It's-
that after the whole involved?
This is, I forget the name of it. It's basically their version of a period at the end of the verse.
Oh, interesting.
You also probably recognize this word, Yud He Vav He. Nope.
No, that's not.
Yahweh.
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 And then you recognize this word, Tov. Emet. That's right. Give thanks. Hodu. The hodu, this is actually a command. This is an imperative. Hodu. You give thanks to le Adonai. You give thanks to the Lord. For ki, good. There's no he. You have to supply the he. He is. It's tov. It refers back to this. Ki, for le olam. So this means, olam by itself means world or eternity. Interestingly enough, forever, His hesed. Forever, His hesed. That's a very rough translation, but to free it up, we have the English.
Can you say that in the Hebrew again?
Yeah. Hodu la'Adonai ki tov ki le'olam chasto. Joshua Aaron put out a really wonderful song about this. If you I would say look him up. Give thanks to the Lord, or Hodu is actually the name of the song. Hodu. It's an amazing song, very good song, and actually it'll help you with your pronunciation. So, listening to Hebrew music is one of the best ways to pick up pronunciation. It teaches you a lot. And actually, you already know this word tov from another incident, from another place. What does that say? What do you always? Mazel tov. Mazel tov. Mazel tov. In the they say mazel. It's more of a Yiddish pronunciation, but it works. Mazel tov. I mean, they might be like, oh, it still works.
How do you get the Z sound in the first part of that?
Zion.
Is that a Zion?
Zion.
Oh,
Zion.
lookalikes.
Yep. So, yeah, Mazel tov. You've learned 5 new letters. Now we got one more. One more. We can do this. The Yud. They're like, oh no, not more. Yeah. The Yud. You might have heard it pronounced Yod, but the Yud is actually, I confirmed this with my Israeli friends, Yud is right. This is one of those really important letters, okay? Now, it's really important because you could easily lose it and step on it if you're not careful. It's really small. Now, when Jesus, let's look at this just a minute. Yud is the 10th letter, and it is said to be the picture of a hand. Incidentally, Yad is the word for hand. Yad. So this is extra. I'm giving it to you for free. Bless you. Oh, I just said bless you. I don't actually know, to be honest.
In other languages, they don't necessarily, like in Spanish, they say salud.
Yeah, and then there's Israel. They're like, what are you doing? It's like, what are you talking about? No, I actually don't know. I'm sure they have something like that.
Because bless you is actually from a superstition that the other languages didn't import
Mhm.
into that term.
It is true. So, this is like I said, it's a very small letter. It's very small. When Jesus said, "Do not think I have come to abolish the Torah or the prophets, I did not come to abolish, but to fulfill. For truly, I say to you, until heaven and earth pass away, not the smallest letter or stroke of the pen shall pass from the Torah until all is accomplished." He says this in Matthew 5. Now, it might say, your version of a text may say jot or tittle. What he's indicating is that the smallest parts of a word, the smallest little serifs, the Nikodot didn't exist in his day, but nevertheless, we could add those for our purposes to mean the smallest parts of a word would stand until the fulfillment of all prophecy. Okay, that's what he's referring to. Now, how do you write this little thing? It's really simple. Just like the Vav, it's a top left and down stroke, and then you stop very suddenly because it's very small, very small.
But it's only half size.
It's a pint-sized little thing.
Is it like an apostrophe?
Kind of, but if you have to, yeah, it's. I mean, if I had I actually intended to get my. I should next week be able to bring my chisel tip pens for the whiteboard so I can show you what it looks like. And if you are interested, you can get calligraphy pens at any craft shop. They're a really fun way to write Hebrew letters. They're super fun. It's really nice to use them. Now, remember, this is very short, so don't make the stem long, otherwise you get a vav. It looks kind of like that. The animations are over now. Sorry, folks. Now, there's a few words. Some of these are in the book, some of them are not. This is one that's not. So, what do you think this one says?
Yeshua?
Close. It's Yesha, to save. This is an important concept given the conversation we had about chata earlier, because chata separates us from God. The good news is that He worked out our salvation and came personally to Yesha, to save us. Now, if this word sounds familiar to you, it's because it is also the root of a very important name. If you said Joshua, you are 100% correct. His name is, Yeshua. Yeshua, or God is salvation. The name of Yeshua it is the name of Jesus. And in fact, Joshua means that. It means the same thing. God is salvation. So that's the name of our Savior, if you want that for posterity. There it is. Now, this one. What do you think this one is? Israel, that's right. This word has the distinction of being the name of a land, a people, and an individual person. It is, let's go backwards in time. It is the name of Israel, which was the name first given to Jacob when he wrestled with God and won in Genesis 32. Since then, it has been bestowed on his descendants who were called out of Egypt. And it has then, in time, replaced the name Canaan for the land we know as the Promised Land. Now, regardless of time or place, God's people have always been called Israel. So, now, this is a phrase which emerged from antiquity, but in more recent centuries, it has actually come from the Zionist movement. In no small part, this phrase, Am Yisrael Chai. I don't know if you've heard that before or heard it said. If you pay attention to news stories about what's going on in Israel today, you'll hear that. Am Yisrael Chai. It means the people of Israel live. It has become, apart from it just being this beautiful sentiment that we're here and that we're alive, it's also a rally cry for the current fight with Hamas. By the way, the word Hamas is Arabic, but in Hebrew, there is also a word for Hamas. It is Hamas, and it means violence. Violence.
So that has two dots under the yud, but the book has one.
Oh, I think you're right. Oh, you're right. Whoa. That is supposed to be a hirik. You're correct. I'll make that correction before. Thank you. I will make that correction before I send the slides to the thing. So thank you for. The book is correct. Yes. Yes.
Pronounce it one more time for
Yisrael. Yeah, Yisrael. It's supposed to have one dot. Yeah, it's supposed to have just one. So it's supposed to have a hirik. Yep. I think I may have. I think I know what happened. Okay, gotcha. I have to type these myself, so they've been pretty good so far. So, Yah. Yah. If you listen to reggae, you've heard this. Yah. They're always talking about Jehovah. Yah. This is God's name. In addition to El, Yah is perhaps the most common form of the name of God. It is the shortened version of Yahweh, which is not uttered in Jewish circles given the holiness of the name. They will say Adonai, Hashem, but they won't say Yahweh. Both El and Yah are common theophoric elements in biblical names. Now, if you've ever heard the term theophoric before, okay, it just simply means bearing the name of God. Let me show you how this plays out. See, God's name shows up in the names of a lot of biblical figures. In the case of Yah, let's take 4 from Yah. Isaiah, the Lord saves. Then you have Micah, who is like the Lord. Zephaniah, the Lord hides. Jeremiah, which has 2 meanings. The first is the Lord will exalt, and the other is the Lord loosens. Now let's talk about El. Gabriel. God is powerful. There's actually the word Gibor in there, which is strength or power. Daniel. God is my judge. Ezekiel. God makes me strong. And Elijah does this fun thing where it takes both of them. The Lord is God. There it is. Pretty cool, huh? All right. So, I told you I would talk to you a bit about lookalikes. Okay, we learned these two today. Vav and Zion are not alike. Look out for the differences. And these two together are not like these, which we haven't learned yet, at least not officially, except for the Dalet. We have learned Dalet. But we have to be careful to look out for those lookalikes. So every time we learn this, I'm going to make sure to include that so you can see it. Now, for next time, we're here, the homework page. Lessons 13 through 18 in the primer from pages 59 to 76. That'll be 13 through 18. That is where we're for next time.
Was 13 through what?
18. Wait a minute. Did I just give you the wrong things? I think I may have. No, I don't. No, I don't. My mistake. I need to correct that too. I definitely have had it quite. Yes. What was that? 33 to 58. I don't think I can actually change it in here. So 33 to 58. I'm going to put that here and then that'll be for next time. Okay. 33 to 58. And then we'll practice this again next time. Now, let's close with our Numbers chapter 6. This is the priestly benediction. Yevarechecha Adonai vayishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yihuneka. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasim lecha shalom. Erev Tov, everyone. Thank you.